And meanwhile, in Georgia, the Senate runoff election is just days away. Tonight, President Obama is out on the campaign trail in an effort to push Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock to victory and across the finish line. Democrats have already won control of the Senate, but President Obama says this election remains crucial.
An extra senator gives Democrats more breathing room on important bills. It prevents one person from holding up everything. And it also puts us in a better position a couple years from now when you've got another election, but the Senate map is going to be tilted in the favor of Republicans. And
joining us now live from Atlanta is NBC's Vaughn Hillyard. Vaughn, it's not lost on me that in contrast to what we just heard and saw, a former president trying to mobilize voters for a Democrat candidate, who exactly is stumping for Herschel Walker?
Not really many people. Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, was coming out on Herschel Walker's behalf, but you're not seeing a former Republican president here. I think it's notable and speaks to where Georgia has gone politically, that it is a former Democratic president of the United States that is the one trying to galvanize voters here in the closing days of this runoff. Herschel Walker is making stops here around the state in these closing days, but for Democrats, they are eager to replicate what they did in 2020 and 2021. You'll recall that the runoff for Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock was actually a month later than this go around. That runoff took place on January 5th, but Democrats turned out in a greater share, particularly black voters too, turned out in greater shares than Republicans and white voters here in the state of Georgia in the runoff in 2021. And that's exactly why the former president, Barack Obama, said he's asking folks once again to do it again and to come back out there, because he said the successes and the achievements that Democrats were able to gain in Congress and sign into law by President Biden were only because of Georgia's efforts in that 2021 runoff. He said that they need them again this go around.
And Vaughn, we've seen a lot of Warnock, but where exactly has Herschel Walker been lately?
He's hitting a lot of these more rural places. He was in Marjorie Taylor Greene's hometown last night of Rome. He was in Dalton, Georgia yesterday as well. These are the types of conservative voters. When you look at the map here, you can see that this is the base of support that he needs to bring out. Frankly, Georgia, one could contend, is still very much of a conservative state. You saw Brian Kemp, the Republican governor, win his re-election quite handily against Democrat Stacey Abrams by 8 percentage points. And that is where you have seen a willingness of Georgians to vote for Republicans who just are not cozying up to the likes of Donald Trump, which Herschel Walker, in fact, did himself. And so that is where Herschel Walker is now actually trying to use the likes of Brian Kemp instead of Donald Trump. Brian Kemp has actually cut a television ad that is running across the state now, and he is trying to boost Herschel Walker's bid, suggesting that he would like to have a partner in the U.S. Senate who is a Republican vote instead of having 2 Democrats. And so he kind of, in a last-minute play here, is potentially could be a savior if, in fact, Herschel Walker were able to make up that difference with Raphael Warnock here in the runoff.
And, Vaughn, I'd be remiss not to talk about the news from the Daily Beast. It was pretty salacious. What exactly is going on with Walker today?
Right. This is a candidate, Herschel Walker, who is faced an onslaught of allegations from women who allege that he paid them to have abortions. His own son has alleged that his father threatened his family. You have heard from his ex-wife, who has said the same. And now the latest Daily Beast here report from reporter Roger Sullenberger outlines a woman who is on the record saying that from a 5-year romantic relationship she had beginning in 2005 with him, that there were multiple episodes in which he threatened her, and one particular episode in which he physically, in her words, attacked her, put his hand on her chest and her neck, and then swung his fist in the air in her direction. There were multiple women who spoke on background to the Daily Beast, according to this report, who outlined a history of Herschel Walker engaging in infidelity and actions that they said led them to believe that he was an unstable individual. Of course, these are, again, mounting allegations against Herschel Walker, but there's also the reality that he is just 5 days away from a competitive runoff and could very well beat the likes of the Democratic incumbent and gain a 6-year term to the U.S. Senate. Isn't Clay?
Disturbing allegations during a critical time. We'll be watching. NBC's Vaughn Hillyard. Thanks so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.